Good morning and welcome to Trekking with Turtle. Today we are at Red Rock Canyon Open Space, also better known to the locals as Section 16. It's a cloudy morning today with a little bit of rain. Right now it's about 62 degrees. It's actually a perfect time to go for a hike because it's not going to be too hot right now, but probably will warm up a little bit later on. Um, this section that we're going to go on basically is about a 5.5 mile loop. There are plenty of hikers, even bikers, runners, all sorts of people up here that come up and hike this particular space. A lot of weekend warrior type people. Some people come up and do the challenge of just going up one side, the steeper side, and then go back home. Um, you can go clockwise or counterclockwise because it is a loop. A lot of people like to go counterclockwise because this is the most challenging section, and then they turn around and come back down. Um, I'm going to opt to go the counterclockwise section so that it's not so difficult to kind of come up the trail and kind of show you around on how to navigate through. With the rain today, there is a slight chance there's going to be a little slickness on the trail. Uh, so when that does happen, probably a good idea to kind of bring hiking poles with you. But come along and follow me. I will show you around. This first section of the clockwise loop that I'm going in, I may have said counterclockwise earlier. This clockwise loop takes you about a 1/4 mile down an asphalt road. There is traffic, so be aware of that. There's a parking area up here over off to the left where a lot of people end up parking because right there at the beginning where I was, there's usually no parking available. But because it's a kind of a chillier and overcast day, there's not as many people out today. It's going to take you down the asphalt road about a 1/4 mile, and then you're going to start on the uphill. Finally hits to a road called High Drive, and there's a gate there. You can then safely go past the gate, and it will take you up the road probably about a mile, maybe a little bit over a mile before you get to the turnoff to go up the trail on the Section 16 loop. I know after coming out here for a few years, they've made some improvements on the trail. Had to make the changes due to rock slides, but they're nice improvements, and they've also marked the trail a little better in certain areas so you know where to go. Other than that, it's pretty easy to follow the trail. There's a sharp little hairpin turn here where cars like to come and zoom around here, so be careful of that. Today there's a few rocks falling here and there due to the wetness, so there might be a few more rocks and or trees down. Sounds like the water coming off of Bear Creek is rumbling quite a bit today. You can hear it, you can see it. Just a little bit more wet today. It was quite the thunderstorm last night that I woke up to just loud clashes of thunder and lots of lightning. So we got a lot of rain. So I can expect a few different changes probably on the trail today. This is the old caretaker's house. Nobody lives there anymore. I'll show you the little waterway from Bear Creek where it comes off of. And like I said, it's coming down more full than normal. It runs all the way up parallel with the trail. But it is roaring today compared to normal. Here's the gate that I'm approaching. Nowadays, I'm under the impression it's only a service road anymore. People used to be able to drive down High Drive from Upper Gold Camp, but right now it's a service road. You got a little bit of a climb before it gets a little easier, so I'll update you soon. Alright, we are almost 1 mile in from where we parked, and you'll notice, hopefully, because I'm going to point it out to you, there's a little fence over here. Many years ago, this used to be the exit off of Trail 16, and for reasons that I don't know, they finally closed it off and they made it a longer way around to where we will be intercepting the trail. If you continue on up past our turnoff, it'll practically just take you up High Drive, which will eventually open up to other trails. There's also Bear Creek Trail, which they numbered at 666. However, I like to call it 665 and a half. But that'll take you about 1.3 miles up to, I believe, trail number 776, which again will lead you to those trails on top of High Drive. There doesn't appear to be a ton of people out today, probably because of the weather. And right now it just decided to open up the skies. Started raining again. But we're gonna turn on this trail, and hopefully it won't last very long. We'll be in the trees, so that'll help cover us up. But it didn't look like we were expecting any more rain, at least for a while. But I gotta turn my camera off here, get it dry. But right here is where the turn is. So I'm gonna dry off the camera and come back in a few. Okay, we're a little bit more than a mile and a half in. When you go this route, the clockwise, I'll stop for a minute. When you go the clockwise route, it's less steep on the south side of the trail versus the north side. So sometimes it makes for a nicer hike just because it's not a ton of work. But, you know, there's still challenges over on this side because it's pretty much a steady incline. You can see that tree back there. That's freshly down. Like I said earlier, there's a lot more moisture up here than what I've ever seen. Doesn't mean it's never happened. Like I said, it doesn't mean it's never happened, but there's a lot of moisture, especially for July here in Colorado. It's usually dry, hot, and but today, for some reason, the skies have opened up and given us some moisture, which can be helpful during this normal fire season. So we're gonna keep moving on. All right, so right now we're 2 miles in, still climbing. Again, it's not brutal. It's kind of a moderate climb, moderate difficulty. But this is the view that I have from where I'm at. There's Colorado Springs. There is basically South Cheyenne Canyon. And then here we are on section 16. Now on the north side of section 16, there are other intersecting trails. So if you decide you want to do some of those, I would highly do some research. I believe Trails and Open Space Coalition can give you all the details that you really want through that website. I'll try to remember to put that website in my description so that you can look it up. It's kind of lightly still raining right now, but not as bad. It's clearing up. A little bit of thunder off in the distance, and as soon as I say that, here comes the rain again. So hide the camera, come back soon. Alright, now's a good time to take a small little break at 2.4 miles. I just came from that direction there. And again, I'm going to say this, but the rain has slowed up quite a bit, which is good. But as soon as I say that, you know what's going to happen. The rain's probably going to say, hey, it's raining out here. What are you doing out here? But it's not really a bad day right now. Yes, there is some rain, but it's not enough to keep people away. And as long as you have the right gear, start my watch. As long as you have the right gear, you should be fine. But it's always good to check the forecast. Check the forecast and be prepared. I opted not to bring a rain jacket today because I didn't feel like the rain was going to last long after looking at the radar. But it does rear its head every so often, but it's not horrible. It's not a downpour. I got trees on the trail, try to help lighten some of the moisture. But when I mentioned before, especially today, there may not be that many people on the trail today because there is a foot race on Pikes Peak today. It's called the Bar Trail Mountain Race. It starts in Manitou, and if memory serves me correct, it travels all the way up to Bar Camp, where you turn around and proceed to come back down. But I would imagine it's going to be a messy race. It's already 10 o'clock, so it may already be over. I don't know what the time frame is or the time limit is, but it is now 10:07 Mountain Standard Time, and the race started at 7 a.m. And when I was on my way over this side of town earlier, it looked like it was pouring down rain. So hopefully everyone is safe, gets off the mountain quickly, and I hope injuries are spared. So we're getting close to a turn where there was a rock slide a couple of years ago that shut the trail, or at least a section of it, down. And the boulders that came down are massive. Hard to give you a perspective, but there's one boulder that's about the size of a small SUV. So, and there used to be a bridge here, but now that got demolished. All right, we're at 2 3/4 mile in. Here comes the turn where the rock slide happened. And they put up a sign here that warns you of it. There could be more rocks falling at any given point. So it just gives you a little hazard of just being aware. So as I turn this corner, again, there used to be a bridge, but these rocks here, rocks. It's like these rocks here, these boulders have come down, and again, it's hard to, I can't stand next to them per se, but let's see if I can get a better angle. That's the size of an SUV right there. Literally the size of an SUV. This is obviously where the bridge used to be. And then, again, I don't know how far down it rolled or tumbled, but it demolished, and there was so much debris that went down through there. Might be a little remnants of the bridge right over there, but it was just demolished. There's a little bit more debris there of where the bridge, part of the bridge, but I'm glad I wasn't here when it went down. Hopefully nobody got injured. So here's another area that has been washed out. I mean, normally there's not any problem up here because it's so dry, but obviously when the moisture came in, it was too much for the rocks and they just went down. So this next section we're on, we're at 2.85 miles right now. It goes about a mile before we reach a pinnacle of an overlook. All right, so as I was saying, you can kind of go to the right or go to the left, but if you go up to the left, you end up going into a residential area, which is Crystal Park. A long time ago, it used to be a private community, and only certain people were allowed to own homes up there. I think it's changed since then. But so when you get to this fork at 3.3 miles, if you're coming clockwise, you want to make sure that you stay to the right at 3.3 miles. And you'll head down, you'll see this sign here. It says Ring the Peak Trail. That's the trail you pretty much want to stay on. And it will wind down through here. You will get to another small intersection here, but again, you're just going to stay to the right. There's a lot of cyclists that like to come up clockwise, but they are the crazy nutty people that like to go down steep stuff. There's another small little trail up here. This is kind of blocked up there, but you can kind of sit here for a little while. You can go up the trail a little ways. It'll kind of connect over there. There's no trail over off of here, but it basically just goes down towards Manitou. But there's no trail. It's better to stay on the trail than to kind of veer off. And you just kind of come down through here. There's two ways you can go across this next little mound. You can go up and over the mound, or you can go around the mound. Sometimes I prefer to go up and around, or excuse me, up and over the mound, just because there are other individuals on the trail, and sometimes I can avoid a crowd. But nothing real big, just a mound. You'll come down here and it will get you right back on the trail and continue on. This is the area that you're pretty much going to come up to before you get to your next intersection. A lot of terrain. Off in the distance, you can kind of see High Drive, which will take you up to that saddle up there, and then spread out into some other trails. But small little area, you can kind of stop, take a breather. You can sit on the rocks. You can pretty much do what you want. But it is a good resting spot before you start heading downhill. So this is the trail you really want to head down on, but we're going to take a small little detour up to this area. This is what a lot of people come to see. A lot of people just come up that steep side. They come up and sit up here for a little bit, and then they head back down the same way. There are some people that basically do the entire loop, but sometimes it just depends on what their time frame is. But it's pretty much it's a really nice overlook over the canyon here. You can kind of see on the other side of the canyon. You can't really see the trail from here, but there is a small area that I can probably pick out just because I've been up here enough. But there's a small little area right over there. I can kind of make out where the trail goes. But because of the trees, can't really see much unless you're familiar with the area. But off in the distance, you've got the antennas over there, which is basically Cheyenne Mountain, and that's above, I believe it's NORAD. And then, again, you can see High Drive. If you come up over here, I've got a couple more views of just an overlook. You can kind of explore over here a little ways, little nooks and crannies. But again, you got to be careful. You're up pretty high. Now we're about to head down, and one of the things I've been told is that it's a little slippery on this side today just because of the wetness. Normally, it really wouldn't be that much of a big deal. There are a lot of boulders, there are a lot of rocks, there's a lot of debris, there's a lot of roots. So I'm opting to utilize my poles on the way down and stopping here and there and kind of giving a few updates here and there. But right now, we're just a little, slightly less than 4 miles in. We probably have a mile and a half of downhill before we get to the car. But the first section, probably the first half to 3/4 of a mile, is going to be a little technical. So I'm breaking out the poles, but we'll move on down the trail. We're only a 1/10 of a mile down the trail, and you can already see pretty much what I had to come down with. A lot of loose debris that has gotten moved because of the rain. This is kind of where I'm heading down. Obviously, I still have quite a ways to go, but just kind of taking my time. We're basically heading down that direction, but we have to take the trail. We can't go cross country unless we really want to risk our life. But yeah, pretty steep, pretty rocky. Okay, roughly about 4.3 miles in, coming down that steep section, we kind of came off of here, and then when we come over here, there's a trail off of this way. It doesn't really lead to anywhere except to a kind of just a hillside. So we're gonna stay down to the right. This will be our last intersection that we need to make any kind of turn on. Everything else is going to be just side trails, but we'll talk about that when we get there. All right, we're at 4.5 miles right now, and I just stopped to put the poles away just because we had gotten off the real technical section. But as I stopped under the tree, the rain decided to take over. So I'm going to stick it out underneath the tree here for a moment or two, just because there's a little bit of lightning in the area. I probably shouldn't be recording, but I'm taking a risk at the moment. So hopefully the rain will subside and I'll be able to move on. I pretty much only have a mile left to go downhill. But this is where some of the improvements basically kind of start happening. You can kind of see basically right there, the trail used to literally just go straight down. There was no windy paths. It was just literally dog eat dog, go uphill. That was it. But now that they've kind of changed it a little bit, added a little bit of mileage, not much, but added a few more twists and turns to get down. But all in all, it's good improvements on the trail, and it allows people to not have to grin and bear it going uphill all the way. Here's another little off the beaten path trail, but didn't really go very far just because they've closed down the bottom. It pretty much only goes, it dead ends 300 feet. But before they did improvements on this trail, it would actually take you all the way back to the Intamin Trail. And known as the Waterfall Trail. Not much of a waterfall I ever saw, but there might be today. But it used to go all the way down. You used to be able to kind of do a shortcut up here to the Palmer. I always get it wrong. Let me go back. Used to be a shortcut to the Palmer Red Rock Loop, or better known as Section 16 to a lot of locals around here. But so they've closed off the bottom by the Intamin Trail because it was a rock slide. I think a couple of years ago, and so it's no longer accessible from the Intamin Trail. But we are actually close to the Intamin Trail. We're not that far off, and I'll show you that next. Okay, a little bit about 4.8 miles in, come across another intersection, and this is the Intamin Trail. The Intamin Trail leads about 2.5 miles over towards Crystal Park Road, or Crystal Park Road. But it heads over that direction. There's a few other trails that kind of connect to Red Rocks open space down there. But to stay on the section 16 loop, as I like to call it, you pretty much want to keep moving forward. And from this point on, you shouldn't really need your poles. Sorry about the camera. But we've got maybe 0.6 miles to go, roughly. 0.6, 0.7, somewhere in that vicinity. Now this trail was also revamped. When you look down this part, it literally just used to go straight downhill. But they've changed it up a little bit. They've made it a little bit easier accessible for a lot of individuals. But that section was literally just, again, steep, steep, steep. It was a short climb, but it still was, you had to work at it. But now they got it winding around through the scrub oak. And as you can see off in the distance, the rain is covering it, but you can see kissing camels, or better known as the rocks at Garden of the Gods. You can't really see kissing camels, but it's off there in the distance. And then Red Rocks open space also goes over there. There's plenty of trails to navigate through over there. You can connect to those trails off the Intamin Trail. There are a couple of other connecting trails along this way. But again, today's focus was the section 16, or Palmer Red Rocks Loop. I have to keep reminding myself it's PRRL, so Palmer Red Rock Loop. But it's pretty easy going through this section. A little technicality here and there. Looks like we have a little bit of a washout, a little bit of water to cross coming down the trail that was collected. Or maybe it was just an illusion from, yeah, pretty much an illusion from the angle I was looking at, but it can still collect down here if it really rained a lot. Now this dirt up here is so red at times that if you were to get it on your clothes, it would pretty much stain your clothes. But those are the ups and downs of being on a trail. I would imagine there's maybe a lot of iron in this dirt. There's all that redness right there. You can kind of see it. And you got red rocks up ahead. I don't know specifically what mineral, but I'm guessing it's iron. Could be something else. There's a little bit of an overlook here on this particular trail. You can go out on the rocks and peer out. 5.1 mile, and it looks like we got another rain delay out here. So I'm seeking shelter underneath the tree. Seeking shelter underneath the tree. You can kind of see the rain just pounding it. It looks like this one might last a little bit longer. But hopefully it'll die down and I can move along. So we're stuck here for a few. Well, the rain has finally let up. I'm about 5.3 miles in. You can kind of see this layout over here. A lot of scrub oak. Housing area near Bear Creek Park. You've got High Drive, or not High Drive, you got little upper Gold Camp Road over there. But it's pretty wide open. But I'll tell you what, the rain sure makes the trail a little tougher when there's a lot of mud. And last time I experienced mud like this, I was running a 50-mile race in Utah, and going downhill, it literally turned the trail into a river and made it difficult. You were sliding all over the place. There's a small little off trail, side trail off of this one to the left here. It's you can use it for anything, but a lot of cyclists like to use it because it stays. There's not as many foot travelers that go on that trail. There's more cyclists that like to go on that trail. But anyway, it's a good hike overall. The sun's starting to come out again. Clouds are starting to move away. Still a chance of rain, but I think it'll probably not rain until after I get done with my hike. I think I'm in the clear for a little bit. I only have a little ways to go. Another side trail there. But we'll probably wrap things up here soon. When you come across this area and you start seeing the parking lot, you pretty much know you only have a few more turns before you're actually in the parking lot. So I want to say thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got information out of it. And if you decide to come up here and, you know, do this trail someday, just do your research, watch the weather, make sure you're hydrated. Make sure you bring plenty of hydration with you. Don't just be hydrated, but bring it with you, because it's it can be tough, especially in the summertime. It can get really, really hot up here. But some people are coming up here for cardiovascular exercise. Some people are just coming up for the day just to enjoy the hike and, make it what it's worth. But a side note, the parking lot I parked at this morning, there is a bathroom there. There are trash cans there. There are bear trash cans, not just trash cans, there are bear trash cans. But there's a porta potty, and depending on the day of the week, if somebody's come out and clean it, it could be dirty, or it could be spick and span, if you can call it that. But that's pretty much the only chance you're going to get for privacy. Other than that, you have to kind of go down the hill, get in your car, go down the hill a little ways to find a bathroom. These stairs might be a little tricky, so we'll take our time. They are wet. They are not to be taken lightly, in my opinion. I don't care how good your shoes are. But anyway, thanks for joining me today on this trek up Section 16, or Palmer Red Rock Loop, as it's officially named, in the Red Rock open space. And I'd love to be out here every single day making hikes or making video on hikes and sharing it with you. But don't have enough credential to have that yet, so hopefully one day. But for now, I'm utilizing it as enjoying the outdoors, sharing it with you. So be safe out there, and we will see you in the next adventure.